Huh?
You've added milk to your iced coffee,
little,
I've just noticed.
A little milk. A petit peu.
Interesting.
Delay.
Interesting.
Happy podcast. We're
How
back.
are we doing? We're back. Linda, where have you been?
I don't know. It's been too long. Too
so
long.
long,
Do you call it
isn't
a podcast still if you're also videoing it?
Yeah.
Good. Not a video podcast, webcast video.
Let's just pretend it's a podcast and then people can watch the video later if they want.
Nice. I like it that it's everywhere. So what are we introing? Because we've got some info.
Wow. We've got a great podcast today, haven't we?
have.
Because we're chatting with Rwanda. I mean, we've just got a coffee in, haven't we? This has all come about.
Yeah.
And we don't want to give it all away because we're about to do the interview, but we've got a great coffee in that had an incredible story that we couldn't keep to ourselves.
Yeah. We did hint at it on social media a bit that there was a story coming.
Yeah.
But we had the coffee, and the coffee is delicious.
Oh man, that's even better, isn't it?
It's really blackcurranty, chocolatey. It's great, Rwandan.
So where have you been, Linda, anyway?
Well, nowhere. What a question of 2021.
Oh no, yeah, that's right.
I've been, nowhere.
But we've
Busy.
not been.
Weirdly
we're
busy.
Back. We're back in our podcast, aren't we? We've got a few in store.
Has everyone found you've done that thing where you had, for some of us, lockdown was a bit quieter? I know it's not the same for everybody, but if lockdown was quieter, then you had the opportunity to kind of reevaluate how busy you are, and then you kind of thought, I don't want to go back to being as busy and as hectic as I was before. I'm going to be a bit more purposeful about choosing what I take on. And then life just comes back 100 miles an hour, and there's not so much flexibility as you thought in choosing. So I feel like it's been busy.
There's a weird amount, isn't there? I mean, for kids, it's
Even
probably
just
part of that.
kids clubs and
But
things
it
they
is.
want to do.
It's funny, isn't it, how the world
Detail, just so much small detail.
loves schedules. It's all good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we do love
So it's
schedules
just been
and
busy.
busyness and.
But we really want to do some more interviews, don't we? So we've got a good one for today.
Absolutely.
To get us back in the swing of it, of what we really enjoy doing and are passionate about, which
Really
is people's stories, and invested into good stories and people with integrity, and doing the best we can with our little bit.
And I think we're live.
I think we're on.
Good morning, Facebook. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late. Just a few technical issues, but we are, going a long way this morning in our live chat. So we're so excited to be here, and we've got two very, very special guests this morning for our 11 a.m. live. We've got Phil Schluter from Olam Coffee, who is a wonderful chap who helps us import most of the coffees pretty much that we all drink, which we're going to hear loads more about. And we've got live from Rwanda, Theo, who has helped us get hold of this latest coffee, which is on your subscriptions this month. So hopefully you've had it. If you haven't, it's because you've still got a week to go or about 3 days to go. So most people would have had it by now. And this is the Rwanda coffee, which comes straight, direct through Theo and Phil. So thank you guys for joining us. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Tell us really briefly what you do, Phil Schluter.
Firstly, I'm very thankful that 11 a.m. live starts at 11:07. That would suit me in life in general. I'm never on time for anything. I run a coffee business. It was once Schluter, acquired by Olam, who's been great people. Our family became part of the Olam family, so to be. And I've spent my life working with African coffee, now with a slightly broader origination that goes across the world. But basically, we run here a business which imports the best coffees we can find around the world, and supplies small roasters like yourselves.
Absolutely brilliant. And Theo, welcome from Rwanda.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, I have a little cough, but I hope it's not COVID.
So do we. Every time anyone coughs now, it's like, oh no.
Yeah. Yes. So it's my first time to go live on anything like Facebook. Thank you so much.
Excited to have you, Theo. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to start with Phil. Just tell us a little bit, Phil, about how we got. Well, actually, firstly, can I just check? Is it right? You're 6th generation coffee importer. Is it 6?
That is correct. Yes.
6. So Phil, we're talking to a 6. This always excites me every time I ever talk about Phil. So 6.
Well, I actually have to say it's 6th generation in the family business. I don't think when it started in 1858 there was commercial coffee being exported from anywhere. So I think probably the coffee came in probably in about the 1940s, 50s. Before that, it was timber and other products that were being traded at the time.
Amazing. And so that's quite an inheritance. And we're excited when we met Phil because of the way that Phil doesn't only bring in great coffees, which taste incredible, which is, obviously a given, that's really important, but the ethics that Phil runs with and lives with really challenged us and moved us and made us go, we really love this guy and would love to get coffee through him. He's someone we talk a lot about how we there's some couple of coffees where we're more connected and a lot we trust people, and it's mainly Phil that we trust actually. Who brings in with integrity. And one of the things I loved at the beginning when we first met you was there was this real ethos of mutually beneficial trade, which you work with, which was, we want great product, but we also want to make sure it works really well for those on ground and growing it, particularly in Africa at the beginning, which we were excited by. So yeah, really excited to have you on today, Phil. And so tell us, how did you come to get to know Theo, and where did this kind of journey with this coffee start?
So I think first had an email from my Uncle John. He ran the business before I did in Switzerland. So I lived this business was in Switzerland until about 10 years ago when, having married a Scouser and had 3 kids at the time, now 4, and traveling a lot, it seemed wise to come and move to Liverpool and create a home base here. Prior to that, I was in Switzerland for 16 years. And in our local church was an American guy called Paul Benke, who's a good friend of myself and my Uncle John. And my uncle rang me and said, Paul Benke is in contact with me asking if we can help with an issue he has in Rwanda in coffee. Is there something you could do? So I then got in touch with Paul and was given a bit of the background to Theo, who he was. Theo had got to know Paul in the US, and Paul's daughter, Cami, had gone to Rwanda and done some work, and Theo had helped her a lot there. And they had been inspired by this vision that Theo had of using coffee to generate revenue to help with some of the projects he has with widows and kids in Rwanda. So I then got to hear a bit of Theo's background story. If I'm honest, it was something I wasn't particularly keen on getting involved in at the beginning, just because, I guess we have to run a business here. Now I don't own this business. Now I'm managing it, and we have to do things which make commercial sense. And it seemed quite a stretch to jump in and get involved with 1 container of coffee. I feel it's a little bit like the parable of the judge who doesn't want to get up in the night and the widow who bangs on the door often enough that he says, well, I must go and do something because there's something that needs to be done. So I think the door got banged enough times. So congratulations on Theo for his persistence and Paul. And I thought, yes, this is something I need to get involved in and help out with. So I don't know if you want to hear the background of the story from Theo, or I give you a brief background. But I think there was I'll give you a brief one, and Theo can fill in and correct me if I get wrong. I think there was an enthusiasm and inspiration that came from both Paul's daughter, Cami, and from Theo and his thinking around coffee and some of the projects he was doing on the ground, with this concept that coffee could be a great way to generate revenue to support projects that do good in Rwanda. That's been my passion in life. I grew up in Kenya and East Africa in a very privileged position, but surrounded by poverty. And I've always had this passion to do something that would make a difference. And I've seen a lot of charities do good things, but I've seen a lot of charities turn up with 4x4s, big budgets, and actually not end up achieving very much. And so I'm very passionate about empowering people on the ground through business to create revenue that is then sustainable and carry on. So that matched very well with what Theo was trying to do. Theo was in touch with some Rwandans in the UK who shared his vision and were very keen on helping him. But I think there was just a lack of matching enthusiasm to reality, with a vision of bringing in a full container of coffee, turning it into packets and selling it in the UK. It sounds simple when you talk to it like that, and I'm not really surprised that it could be picked up as an idea. But as you will well know, bringing in 320 bags of coffee, over 19 tons, turning it into roasted coffee and selling it, it's not that simple. So Theo had ended up in this difficult position where he had a commitment from somebody in the UK who was not at the time in coffee, but with every goodwill in the world to help to buy a container of coffee. Theo had committed to the co-op to take the container of coffee, and then the buyer was simply unable to take the coffee or bring it in. So Theo was then left with a commitment to the co-op at what was a very good price, which is good because the farmers need to get paid well. But then in a difficult position where NIAB was quite threatening in terms of wanting him to honour his contract or face legal consequences of not doing so. So that's where we stepped in, tried to bring some commercial reality to it, talked to all the parties, and then launched an appeal that you kindly responded to see if people would be willing to take some of that coffee if we bought it in, and help Theo honour his commitment to the cooperative, which thankfully he's done. And that allowed us then to buy the container and bring it in. So we bought in 320 bags. We got a commitment for about 70, which have gone, and the rest of that coffee is still sitting in the UK, but priced at a sensible price that means we were happy to bring it in. And I'm sure particularly in the current market with shipping challenges around the world, prices going up and everything else, it won't cause us too much of a problem. So that's a brief summary, but I was inspired by Theo's background. Maybe he'll tell us a bit more about that, some of the projects he's doing in Rwanda. It is my passion to use coffee to improve lives. In Africa, that was our strapline when we were Schluter. And that's something that still drives me every day. So it was a great project to get involved in. I think you will know better than anyone the challenges of trying to sell coffee. Coffee is an industry that it looks very unjust from the outside. People live on $1 a day, sometimes $2 a day, to produce coffee that is not consumed by them. It's consumed by people largely in more affluent countries who pay $2 or $3 for a cup of coffee. And that inequality is very stark in coffee. At the same time, you can buy green coffee, roast it, and sell it for twice the amount. So it makes the roasters look like the bad boys in the story because they can double the price of coffee. But the reality is, to find someone to buy the coffee that you've just roasted and packaged is a very expensive business. So you've either got to employ people to go and do it, or you've got to pay for advertising, and you've got to own the stock and build a roasting factory, and all that's very expensive. So it's really, for me, a business built on brands, coffee, more than most businesses in the world. The brand holds the value, and the brand actually is a very expensive thing to create. I think the likes of Facebook and Instagram and so on is making brands more accessible for people at origin. But I think that the reality is of the economies of a supply chain are there, that to create a consuming market is expensive. The cost of consumption is very expensive. But if we can create these links and these relationships, then if we can add value to the final product and pass it back through the chain in an efficient way, we can make a real impact in lives at origin, which is exactly what Theo's dream is.
Yeah, let's hear a bit about that. Thanks, Phil. I mean, I think you summarized it really well, and it is a real challenge, but it's also one that can be exploited so much more as well, can't it? It can be really, this whole chain could be really exploited, and it can, probably is in a lot of places, and that's why we need the integrity of those like yourself bringing in, doing the deals and bringing the coffees into places like us, which is a really, high risk kind of shipping and everything, high risk business as well. And so we're really grateful to partner with yourself to get hold of some good coffees that we know people are being paid, well for, and opportunities like this with Theo come up, where although like you say, you need to be commercial, which is so important, but I love the fact, Phil, that you're very heart driven as well, and that's why we love this. And this is a real heart driven story. And I remember getting a message off you to a few of us roasters in the UK going, hey guys, can we rally together and do this, because this would be amazing. And we were in a second, we were like, yes. I mean, this is why we do what we do, is for us. So Theo, we would love to hear from you. So tell us a bit about, so you are from Rwanda, yeah? You grew up in Rwanda and you're living whereabouts now?
Yeah, so excuse me. First of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. If it was not you, I wouldn't be talking about coffee today.
Brilliant.
Phil, thank you so much for the hard work, and thank you for really supporting me. So I grew up in Rwanda from the northern province. And what really attracted me to that coffee in the region, called Volcanic in Coko, is because when we were running for refugee, I was separated from my mom in that same valley where the coffee is grown. Right. So when I was working on the crop project with Kemi from the US, we ended up in the same cooperative, and we are working on a story how the role of women has changed over the 25 years, and how women now can do the work that men did to support their community transformation. And we ended in the same region. And these farmers said they wanted to partner with me with the vision I have to use coffee as a tool. So to give you a little background about my life story, I grew up as a complete orphan. No mom, no dad. My dad was killed in the genocide, and then later, wow, my mom died, and I really don't know exactly what killed her, but we were also living on agriculture. My entire family depended on agriculture, and after that, nobody could support me, so I grew up in the orphanage. After that, I got a chance and went to the US, where I tasted coffee for the first time. And after that, I could come to Rwanda and take coffee to the US as gifts to people. And whenever they tasted the coffee, they said, wow, this is the best coffee we've ever tasted. So that's when the dream developed in 2011, that when I come back to Rwanda, I would use coffee as a tool to support orphans, especially single mothers, widows, and their vulnerable kids to have access to quality education. So Phil came in at the right time. It's required by the government that you have to have the capacity to export a minimum of a container of coffee. Okay. But I don't have that finance. Since I graduated from school, I've not had any other job other than talking to contacts, just sleeping with the coffee vision in the mind, and Phil has been like a light to be having the exporting license that I'm having today. And I'm really happy and excited that you were called to join this. And I have a long story, so amazing. I would be happy if you ask questions.
So maybe you can tell us some of the things you're doing with the single mothers, yeah, and the widows and the orphans in Rwanda.
Yeah, so I have so far 5 single women. One was, their family was killed in the genocide. The mom was got and raped, and she's left alone. And after that, she also got impregnated at age 16. Then the husband abandoned her, and I'm paying their school fees, and I help with healthcare. And then I have another who the father abandoned with the mom, and I'm paying their school fees. But it's still done on a personal level because my business has not yet really developed to generate enough money to support them. So I've been struggling with them. The more I struggle to support the business grow, and the more I struggle with them to provide the healthcare and education.
Yeah, sure. So, and what would be your big dream for where it's going? What do you dream about being able to do to help more?
So my dream is to sell more coffee. The more coffee I sell, the more I can generate enough profits by retaining 10% of the profit generated to support these single mothers. So I work as a social enterprise.
Yeah.
So the big vision is to build a research-based school for vulnerable kids in Kigali. So it's big.
Wow.
It needs partners like you and people like Theo who risked to take the whole container at the last minute. So it's a big vision that needs big support and big coffee sales.
Yeah,
great. And it's obviously starts somewhere. That's very exciting. So that will be a school for vulnerable children and research. Did you say research as well?
A research-based school, and then start income-generating activities for these single mothers.
Great.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Amazing. And so,
yeah, Nick, I think sometimes we think we're very entrepreneurial in the UK, but I think until we go and see what people are able to do with very little in East Africa, we have no idea what being an entrepreneur is all about. Yeah, I think one of the other realities in East Africa is that often women are better managers of money than men. Maybe it's the same in Europe, I don't know. But I think certainly in terms of providing healthcare, looking after the children, making sure those important things are taken care of, often we find that, at least in the East African context, women are better at managing the budget to make sure those things happen. And so there's quite a lot of talk in coffee around women's coffee, why it's important to support women farmers and entrepreneurs. And I think some of that context is useful to make consumers realize why that's important, because there's a lot of talk about it in coffee. I don't see many women's coffee being offered by large brands or anything, or at least being picked up by consumers. And I think sometimes that's just a lack of understanding of what the social impact is of supporting those coffees. So
yeah, I think the assumption is it's just but an equality thing that we do here in the West, whereas actually it's an economy choice as well.
Theo, can you tell us maybe some of the projects you've seen entrepreneurial women doing in Rwanda?
Oh, well, so since the lockdown, I've not been doing much really, to be honest. When you got the green coffee beans, my dream is to sell a final product. The reason why I went into green coffee is to meet the requirements to retain the exporting license. But I really want to do this, but I haven't done much. I've been doing on my personal level so far.
Yeah. And were you working with someone as well who was helping women in entrepreneurship on a project?
Yes, I've been working with a cooperative in the southern province in Nyanza district to support these single women. So, but this organization didn't thrive. It's still also developing and rising up. It's not yet already fully established.
Yeah, sure. And have you found that's shown there's quite a lot of, need for it and potential there?
Yeah. So I want to do this through a church. So my friend already has a church established and it's running, but he already has the land. But because of the lockdown, everything has been on a standstill. We've not been doing much. So I expected to generate profits from this coffee to support 25 identified families, but we couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you start to grow, that would be how you'll do it.
Yes, there's a lot that has to still come together.
Yeah, definitely. But also, I mean, I think it's learning as well. And like, in some ways, the success of this has been you've shipped a container at this stage, isn't it? And you know, it could have gone wrong at one point, and it didn't. So that's amazing in itself. But
Yeah.
your heart and what you're wanting to do in your home country. Do you know? Can you tell us any more about the co-op where the coffee comes from? Is that near to you, or is that the I'm going to say it terribly.
Go on, say it.
Okay, so the coffee comes from the northern part of Rwanda in Gakenke district. So there's the administrative structure of Rwanda. We have the province, which is the biggest, and then we have the district, and then we have the sector and the cell. So it's in Gakenke district in the northern part of Rwanda in the volcanic region. So from the coffee plantation, you can only drive for 40 minutes and be in the volcanic valley. So the coffee is very from not far away from where I live now. Yeah.
And is it close to the border with DR Congo?
Sorry.
Yes, it's close.
We disappeared.
No, you're back again. That's fine. We just carried on without you.
Good. It looks like
Okay.
Sorry, Theo, you were just saying it's near the Congolese border.
Near the Congolese border, yes.
That's where the volcano erupted about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if you followed that, Nick, but the volcano just outside Goma erupted about a month ago, and the lava mercifully came down right to the edge of Goma city.
Wow.
So we have about 6 employees in Virunga who lost their houses to volcanic lava flow. Mercifully, it stopped. Didn't go any further. They've had quite a few earthquakes, and there's a few risks still in the region, but it displaced a lot of people again outside of that region. So it is a challenging region to work in.
Yeah.
I think, Theo, I hadn't picked up on the story that you were telling us at the beginning, that it's where you were separated from your parents. So I presume they were fleeing in the genocide towards the Congo border, were they?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So when the genocide against Tutsi started, I was living in the northern province in Brera district. So when my dad and the family were killed, we came back to Kigali. I had an uncle living here. So when we came, we were forced to go to church, and my uncle was still having the pain. He couldn't go, and he was a pastor. So when we returned from church, we found when he was already killed also. So we had to again go back to the north towards our home. So we were going towards Congo in that valley where the Twongerekawa Coko farmers are. So in the same region, I was separated from my mom for about 6 days. I was wandering in plantation, and I remember I could squeeze the juice of the coffee to quench thirsty when I was lost alone in that same region. So that's why I'm really very attracted to the coffee. Honestly, I don't know when I was born exactly. I tried to guess if I cannot remember my dad's face. Maybe I was 5, maybe I was 4.
Yeah.
So my made-up birthday is September 25th, 1989.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So so did we discover, from the eruption recently, did that get the coffee station or affect the coffee station where we got the coffee?
No,
it's
the coffee.
It's a similar region.
Similar.
Yeah, the lava went down on the Congo side, but you can see that volcano, I presume, from the northern region. So if you're driving in northern Rwanda, in many places, when you get a view at night, you can see the volcano glowing because it's quite an active volcano.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the effects were like earthquakes, And then I'm not good at geography, the land detaching. And actually, yesterday, 2 days ago, the president of the Congo and Rwanda met at the border to see the effects.
Right.
And you could see that on some news.
Wow.
Yeah, but on the Rwandan side, there was no much destruction, only on the border side.
Yeah.
So the coffee plantation is like...
Sorry, carry on first.
Yeah, the coffee plantation is like 2 hours away from, 2-hour driving away from the volcanic eruption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Theo, just to get some, because it's useful to, when we have a live session, just to get some reality of economics in East Africa. If in a rural community like the ones you're talking about in the north, what would the average family income be for a month?
Wow, some families honestly could even live less than $10. That's honestly speaking from, that's what I see, not research based, but even some people don't get that income.
Yeah, I think that's where my passion in the coffee sector comes from. That we can't live with this guilt. I've struggled with this all my life, that I go to visit many poor regions in East Africa where they grow coffee. I have sticks in my mind when I went to Yegechefe, where some of the best coffee in the world come from, and I had a packet of biscuits and I took it out to give it to the kids, and they grabbed it off me, ripped it open. All the biscuits fell in the mud, and they dived on them and ate them. And it took like 5 seconds. I wish I had it on video because it would be very, very powerful. We were so hungry, and it really strikes you. And then you come back here and, you know, you go to McDonald's and get a plastic toy that lasts 30 seconds. And you think, you know, with the money we spend here on things every day, we could do so much in East Africa. You can't live life with this constant guilt that you can't live your life. I think we have to learn to wake up every morning, be very grateful and thankful for what we have, because it's amazing. At the same time, live with this recognition that with very little we can achieve a huge amount. For the people in, you know, communities like that. I think there's also a misnomer that we're the first world and they're the third world, because I think in the things that really matter in life, such as community and family values and, you know, laughter, even, you see a lot more laughter in East Africa. They're the first world and we've become the third world. So we've got lots of finance and money, but we've lost a lot of the things that matter in life. So you don't want to lose that. You don't want to turn Rwanda into Liverpool or Leeds. You would lose a lot. But I think we have the privilege and the ability to make a massive real impact on improving standards of living and basic living in places like Rwanda and East Africa. Rwanda is an amazing economy. If you go there, you know, the changes in Kigali in the last 20 years are outstanding. You know, the streets are cleaner in Kigali than they are here, and actually better in many things. It is an amazing country, and amazing how it's growing and the economy and everything else, and yet it still lives, just through historical reasons, with this abject poverty, which is, you know, everywhere around you. And so anything we can do, you know, if your packets of coffee are 50p more expensive and 50p goes back to Rwanda, it seems like nothing, but actually you give 50p to somebody who lives on $10 a month, that's almost 10% more income for them. So we can make a very big difference with very little, which I think is Theo's passion and a fantastic vision. And it's a matter of learning how to do that in steps that makes it sustainable. And you know, each person plays their part. So CLO has been fantastic. You came back very fast when we asked for help, which we appreciate. And that is, you know, just your heart reacting and I think achieving something which will make an impact.
Definitely. No, exactly. And we are learning and growing as we do it and just trying to do our best. But, you know, that's exactly why we're so grateful to you, Theo, for stepping out and making this, you know, bold entrepreneurial moves and daring to try and do things a little bit differently. And we're so pleased that we got connected with you through Phil, because it's wonderful what you're doing. and we hope we can get many more coffees from you and do our bit, which is what it's all about, isn't it? All of us doing our bit to try and take a bit of responsibility for what we can do. So thank you so much, Theo. Really love hearing your story, your time with us today. It's been amazing to hear, and we'd love to continue to stay in contact. And Phil, once again, we're just so grateful for you and the man of integrity that you are, and the way that you bring us not only great tasting coffees, but coffees like this from Theo, and where you can just see every conversation we have, I get inspired, because you're just such a man of value and doing things properly and well, not only commercially but also by heart, and that's a hard thing to balance, but we're so grateful and we love what you do, and continuing to get coffees with you into the future. So thank you so much for spending time with us as well, Phil. Very appreciate it. Guys, thanks for watching with us today on Facebook. It's been great. If you've got any more questions, just drop some comments and we'll try and answer them for you. But we've loved hanging out together. What a special 11 a.m. live this Monday morning. What a great start to the week. Everyone enjoy whatever you're up to. We're live on Wednesday on Instagram, just the two of us.
A bit more boring.
All right, thank you.
So, brewing coffee or something, and then we'll be live on Friday back on Facebook. So thank you guys so much for being with us.
Thanks.
Really brilliant.
All right, thanks. Bye.
There we go.
Wow.
Wasn't it good?
Wow.
Told you it was a good one.
Honestly.
It's a moving story.
Honestly, I love it. I absolutely love it. And
it properly floored me when his answer to my question about when he was like separated from his mum and couldn't find her for 6 weeks. When I said, how old were you then? I knew he was going to be young, so I was kind of feeling a bit like prepared for the fact he was going to be a small child. But when he just said, I don't know how old I was, that did floor me a bit. I was like, oh my goodness.
Just can't imagine.
You're just guessing your age based on how much memory you've got of events, which it isn't like huge a thing, is it really? But it's just how much we are driven by our age and our, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, the whole thing was incredible, really.
Such a privilege to be able to share that story and share those guys with you. I love, we're so grateful. Phil from there is an incredible guy in the coffee world. He's an incredible guy anyway. And the way he does, 6th generation coffee importer, the way he does mutually beneficial trade, really ethical, is great, and they make sure we can trust him with those purchases. But once in a while, a bit like the Uganda that I'm sure you know a bit about from our story, that you get a coffee like this that goes just that little bit further, and the way that Phil rallied people around and say, guys, come on, let's buy this coffee. This is going to save this guy from prison.
Yeah,
really.
that's right.
It's amazing, and I love that.
Yeah.
And we're not beating ourselves up here. We're just privileged to be part of that.
It was just an opportunity, when there's an opportunity there. Because you don't have to, I think we don't want to be like the wonders of X Factor and places that thrive on the sad story. It's not that, is it? Because all coffee trade done well is really important. But sometimes when someone knows somebody, has a connection and brings a personal story, and you've got an opportunity to support, then it's a bit of a no-brainer.
So here's the thing, we first put this out on Facebook Live that you might have seen, and immediately at least 2 people got in touch saying, can we give some cash to help this vision that Theo has for supporting children at risk, which obviously he was at one point in his life, and he's giving his life to help children at risk in Rwanda and teenage mums. And obviously we know that first and foremost we are delighted that just doing good trade is a great way of making sure that the money we spend on coffee goes to the right place to help. So the fact that we've bought this coffee, the fact that you're buying the coffee, all is meaningful, do you know? And that's where we really want it to be as much about, not just we'll get some cheap coffee here and we'll sell you coffee and then we'll raise some money. we want to say that actually we start for us, it's about doing
The
good
coffee makes a
trade.
difference in itself,
Okay, and
definitely.
he recognises that.
Yeah.
And he's not in any way said, I'm trying to raise money. But a couple of people got in touch and said, could we donate some money to help support him in his vision and encourage him and be a blessing in the next steps for him?
Yeah.
And we thought, we totally agree, and we've been thinking similar. How do we do that? So we've done, what have we done?
So in July, we're going to do 50 pence from every bag of the Rwanda that's bought will go to Theo from us anyway, just as an extra margin given to him, which will probably top up a bit as well. And also,
we are going to put a donate button. So on the page on our website where you buy the Rwanda coffee, if you go to the all coffees section on the website, click on the Rwanda coffee, at the bottom of that page it says, would you like to give a little bit more to support Theo and his work? Then you can just click the donate button and you can give as much or as little as you want. It's just whatever you want to do to give a little bit above and beyond buying a bag of coffee. Please do, it's there. We're not going to make a massive thing of this because we just feel that we want to, if you want to respond to this, then please
There's an
do.
option.
There's an option. Yeah. It's great, and every penny just goes direct to him and his work. With those individuals, I love the way he's picked out individuals that he's working with at the moment, because that's how, you know, grassroots this is. So there's an opportunity. Thanks for
thank you for listening, guys.
It's great to be back. We're going to be doing more of these.
Yep.
So please come back and listen again. If you've got, you want to get in touch with us, then just do the usual channels through the social media or our website. Please do. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Hear you next time.